Hello and welcome back, everybody. Westminster, Boulder, thank you for coming back from spring break. And now we start to, since everyone's back, we start to dive in and progress in the class once again with week 10. And we'll start to move towards the end of the class. A few things before we start to dive into week 10 stuff. Make sure you have that Kaplan code. Those can be purchased at the Larimer County Bookstore, or I'm sorry, the Larimer Campus Bookstore. They are $54 and change. When you buy it through the website, the frontrange.edu website, make sure you go to the bookstore, keyword search 180 day. I think it's 180-day. That should bring up the Kaplan codes. When you're checking out, make sure to put a comment in there that you are an online student and would like the code emailed to you. Sandra will then email those codes to you, and you'll get it a lot quicker than the code going through the snail mail and arriving at your door in probably a week and a half time. So make sure you have that, and make sure you're rehearsing that. Make sure you're rehearsing on the SYO 501 test, the network or the Security Plus CompTIA exam, getting a grade of 70 or better on that random test will then boost test scores 1, 3, and 4 up to 100%, no matter what you get on them. And I think even if at that point, if you got a 70, that could really help yourself out with test 2. Well, I guess it really wouldn't help test 2, just because you'd have everything else at 100%. Yeah. So just make sure you start rehearsing that Kaplan and doing the Kaplan, because that will become a way to secure the grade you want for this class. Let's see. Take a look at what I posted in early March. SWGDE, SANS.org, NIST.org. Great places to use for templates, and a great starting point for when you start to look at your security policy here in week 14. So you have to actually write a security policy based on 2 things. And overall, the security policy, the one should take about 1 page, and the other should take a little over the second page. Overall, your whole project should be about 3 to 4 pages long. If it's done correctly, I'm more than happy to look at those too. Let's see, for week 10, I think we were in mobile devices. Device security, mobile and device security, mobile and embedded device. Okay, so we're looking at mobile devices in week 10. I did see another essay due. So remember, we started those essays again. Pick up week 10 in essay 8. Make sure to write that essay and submit it. Let me double check this to make sure this works now, since I'm right here. Not working. Okay, I'll upload project 10. Lickety split and get that up. Let's see what we look at with mobile devices. We look at types of mobile devices, risk with mobile devices. I know my phone's in my pocket, but if I'm like walking down the road, have my phone in my hand, and I'm just barely holding it like this, maybe somebody runs by us and grabs it. An interesting thing that I see now is people walking down the street holding their phone like this. There we go. Holding their phone like this and talking to it as they're walking down. If I were to run by, that phone is basically just resting in their hand. I can run by and snatch that phone out of their hand and take off running with it. Other mobile devices could be laptops. I don't know if I mentioned it in this class, but I do have a backpack that I carry my laptop in, my personal laptop. It's a 17-inch wide screen. So it's definitely a bigger backpack, which required me to buy a bigger laptop, which required me to buy a bigger laptop, which the only backpack I found was an Alienware backpack that had an alien symbol right on the back, and I was thinking to myself, man, that's just broadcasting to everybody, that I have a laptop in this bag. Somebody's going to think it's an Alienware backpack or Alienware laptop, and sneak off with it. So like the first thing I did was just take off the emblem, and now they're just kind of an oval there with nothing. So yeah, so that was one step to make my carrying around my laptop just a little bit more secure. We talk about, let's see, device configuration, management tools, mobile device app security. We look at mobile device management, MDM, MGMs, which are enterprise related, and you start to only on managed devices from an organization. You start to manage what's on the phone, what version is on the phone, and what's just allowed to be stored on the phone. The user at that point is just using the company product that has specific software versions that are only allowed by that enterprise. And that's a way for a big organization to handle many different devices by saying, hey, look, we're going to govern these devices as we see fit because they're property of the enterprise. When you go into other mobile device management, like you look at BYOD, bring your own device, those have drawbacks. If you look at those policies, I'll see if I can't get a policy. I'll see if I can't find the front range policy. But the policy stipulates, that if your device is stolen or missing, you have to contact front range. And since you agreed to have your employee email on there, that they can just erase all the data on that phone just in case there was, sensitive information on the phone. And this is really what puts a lot of people off to BYODs, is because that the company now has, you agreed to enter in this contract with the company, and if something happens to the phone or the phone's marked with the virus, the company does have the authority now to just erase the entire phone. Interesting thing. Let's see, we talk about embedded devices and the Internet of Things. Embedded devices are, I was trying to think around, look at my desk and see if I have any. Basically little sensors, I guess, my watch. There are little sensors in my watch that I can say, hey Siri, and my phone instantly answers, Internet of Things. They're just sensors waiting for specific input or input in general, and that is an embedded device. Some sort of computer that's just gathering information about a specific thing, maybe like a pacemaker, my watch, the automatic tire pressures on your car. Those are all embedded sensors that are just taking information and passing it along to a computer, so it makes the whole system function better. Internet of Things can be widely sensors, computers, applications talking to applications. The Internet of Things is really starting to boom. Excuse me. Just because a few articles that I read was projected to that the IoT devices, Internet of Things devices, are supposed to outnumber people on the earth by 2020, and we're already almost halfway through this year. And next year, to think about it, we're going to have so many small sensors, embedded systems, Internet of Things sensors, devices, that they will actually pass up the human population on the world, which does make sense. And we could even see that in years to come to be even doubled or tripled, just because one person can have many sensors on them: glasses, watch, shoes, anything you can think of, always reporting back to something else. Internet of Things could be your thermostat at home, your oven, your AC, a lot of things of that nature. Let's see, security implications. The Internet of Things, embedded devices in general too, so far have been lacking security measures. That's why the Jeep, when it was hacked on the highway, that's why that was such a big deal, is because there's no security on that sensor that's checking your tire pressure as you're driving down the road. And that's how the Jeep got hacked, is they went in through the that sensor, and they just hacked into the Jeep from that route. A lot of these devices, pacemakers, insulin pumps, all rely on some communication, Bluetooth technology, or even Wi-Fi to communicate. But still, that's stuff that can be hacked. That it wasn't thought of security at first, but I believe if you Google it, I forget who had a pacemaker that was vulnerable to attack. He had a pacemaker vulnerable to attack. It was a senator, I believe, and then had another surgery to take out the initial pacemaker and put in a new one that was closed circuit, I guess, and not susceptible to a wireless attack. Really, really good stuff. You're going to enjoy this chapter. I enjoyed this chapter also as well. Let's see. Our next test is in 2 chapters. Week 12, chapter 3 or exam 3, and then one more test and final exam in week 15. We'll end up the book. The last 3 chapters are more or less tying everything together, chapters 13, 14, and 15. But we'll also start to look at, as homework decreases with those chapters, we'll start to look at your projects that are due, like the security policy project. Feel free to start rough drafts, send them in. Using those 3 links from the cover page will probably be your best bet, because you can go to each one of these sites and Google, or I should say, go to each one of these sites and search within the site security policy template, and they will open up templates specifically for you that deal with security policies. And that's it. A lot longer video today, but we're getting closer to the end of the semester.